What's up, everybody? This is episode 14, or if you follow the sequence, it's episode 014. This is the Greg Boydell episode. Unfortunately, we didn't think
Yeah,
far enough ahead to have Greg
yeah,
on
we
the
didn't.
show. So we're going to talk to Jeff Maconi of Maconi Setup Shop, one of our newest sponsors. We're going to talk about Week 13 and all the new things that iRacing has brought to the table, and we'll talk about the schedule for our winter season that starts here in just 1 week. Looking forward to it.
Welcome to the Pitside Podcast, where we discuss the latest news and developments in the G-Force Racing League, as well as other racing news inside and out of iRacing. Now here's your hosts, the A-Lit Outlaw, Preston Cranmer, and Roger, the Bassman Craig.
Yeah, so we're ready to get started here. It's been an eventful couple of days. We're filming this on Wednesday, as we typically do.
Yep.
You'll hear that pretty frequently.
Download day.
Download day. Yeah. So we're a couple
Yeah.
of days into week 13, where we've been running some events just for kicks. But today was the big day with Big Block Modifieds and Cedar Lake Speedway and a couple of other new things that maybe don't fit our league as much, but. It was a pretty big update with a couple of bugs in it, as far as I understand
yeah.
as well.
Good. I had a minor meltdown this morning. We had a race scheduled for 2:00. I had put a placeholder in for it, and had the sprint car scheduled. Just because you couldn't get it before the download, so I was just going to quickly insert the 358, and away we go. Well, the beta UI won't come up.
Yeah, I saw that.
My favorite thing about iRacing, the beta UI.
I was actually at work. I started my computer up this morning before I left. Started my remote host so I can connect in from wherever I'm at, and that gave me plenty of problems too. That's not related to iRacing, but I saw that I could log into iRacing again and went immediately set up so I could remote in from work while I was on my lunch break, and couldn't get in, so I didn't know what was going on. I was searching the forums and actually saw one of the other bugs. Well, it's not a bug, I guess. It was Scotty Edwards actually had posted in the the complaint forum or whatever that Cedar Lake Speedway didn't have any lights. He posted, actually, word for word, I think what he said was, somebody forgot to pay the light bill at Cedar Lake Speedway. So I got a kick out of that, and I'm thinking, and it was actually kind of funny because I know you actually talked to Scotty today a little bit about, and we haven't seen Scotty a ton lately because I know he had some health issues going on that it sounds like, based on what you said, he's coming through.
Well, I thought it's not simple. But I thought he just had a heart attack and a quad bypass. But this was an issue that had been going on for a long time, and I had no idea just how serious it was. And it's a good news thing. He's getting better, so the problem has been fixed. So that's great news. But he's still having his challenges, I guess, but it's great to see him finally back. I mean, he's been gone for almost 2. We were actually going to drop him because he hasn't shown up for 2 seasons. I think 1 race 2 seasons ago. So it was really good to hear from him, and it was good to see him out. We just had one of the races the other night, and there was Scotty. It was great. So everybody's glad to see him back on that track.
Yeah, I know. We kind of followed because we're, at least I think you are too. But I'm friends with them on Facebook just from league stuff, and had kind of followed. He had some stuff going on, and we were definitely keeping him in our thoughts while everything was going on. It's encouraging to hear that it's going on, and I think he was pretty pumped about Cedar Lake too. I don't know if he's close to Cedar Lake or not, but he seemed pretty excited about it. So that was pretty cool. But we're glad to see him back out too, and he's one of those guys. He wasn't with us originally, but he's still almost kind of like an original because his name's just been around a while, and you hate to see those names go away, and it's almost kind of nostalgic now when they come back. So well wishes to him. I don't know if he watches the podcast or not, but if he does, and if not, if you guys know him, tell him that we're glad to hear he's doing better.
Yeah, it's excellent. So hopefully we'll see him on a regular basis going forward, because he's certainly one of the top runners, that's for sure. So it's been an amazing week. We got a lot to talk about, but we got this interview coming up with Jeff Maconi. So it's very cool this season. You know, I was saying before that, you know, it's cool because we're really coming into our maturity. You know, that we're now getting iRacing products um, be, becoming our sponsors. But you know, then I thought about the other day. You know, I like whacked myself in the side of the head. We've had, you know, we've got Epsilon Sprint Wraps, we got Velocity Designs. You know, we've had uh, a number of you know, the wrap companies. We have been iRacing related products and not just sort of outsiders. But it is exciting to have Maconi coming on, Maconi Setup Shop, and also Icon Sim Sports. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But we got this interview with Jeff Maconi, and just what a quality guy. This is a great interview, and hopefully you guys are as hooked on it as we were. It was a great to talk to him and hear his whole logic. Maybe you can talk about that a little more before we cut into it.
Yeah. I want to say that because I'm somebody that's skeptical, and I actually got burned by a wrap company, or excuse me, not a wrap company, because you know. Anyway,
Yeah,
a setup company.
yeah,
I got burned one time before by buying setups, and they were junk, right? And so coming into this interview, and I knew Jeff to be a great guy, but was pretty skeptical about buying setups. When I can go and, you know, we have a team that works on them ourselves. But after talking to Jeff, and you
yeah,
guys will hear it, and if you're skeptical of whether buying setups is the right thing to do or not, you might be good at it, but maybe you can. All I'll say is listen to what he has to say, and I think it'll change your mind a little bit. Whether you decide to go out and buy a setup, you know, in the next few weeks or not, I think it'll change your mind about whether they're all a scam, because I did not get that feeling from him at all,
no,
and I think they've got the right mindset, right? They're
yeah,
they're into iRacing themselves, and it's not just that they're not just there to make a dollar, right? And I think
no,
that makes
no,
a big difference. So let's jump over.
yeah,
We're gonna talk to Jeff here for a little bit, and then Roger and I'll come back and talk a little bit about all the new stuff we've got going on, and our new schedule.
yeah. And we're here with our newest sponsor who's come on board, Jeff Maconi from Maconi Setup Shops. How you doing tonight, Jeff?
I'm doing well. Can't ask for anything more. We just had this huge new update, so it's going to be a great new season, I think.
Yeah, we are really really pumped. We just released our schedule today. 20 races a week, so it's like a 200 race schedule or 240 race schedule. So it took 6 weeks to get the schedule together. You know, just trying to coordinate with sponsors and all our admins and everything else. So it's good. I don't know how long it's going to take for us to set all those races up, but anyways, it's exciting. So we had some the big blocks tonight and the 358s, and everybody's loving them. The room was full. We had to turn people away. So I think they've hit a home run here for sure, and we're prepared for it, and we're especially prepared for it now because we have a setup man on board here. So tell us a little bit about your business.
Well, we started up earlier this year in May was when we first started doing setups and selling them, and it actually started out doing special events, pretty much only special events. Someone from Thompson Motor Speedway contacted us for a couple setups for there, and we provided them. From there, we actually started doing setups for Stafford Motor Speedway during their official series, their official iRacing events that they were having when they couldn't go back to the track in real life because of COVID. So from there, we sort of expanded and just continued selling setups. Started out with just me building 5 setups a week for the late models, Legends, super late models, SK mods, and Tour mods. Then Bill Gross jumped on. He's one of the best asphalt late model drivers on the service and builders as well. He's done a fantastic job for those cars since jumping in. And from there, we've gotten more builders. Trevor Edwards, Tyler Shattuck, Ryan Matthews, Dustin Monberquette, a lot of big names over on the asphalt short track side jumping on board and building for us. And we also have the folks over at Overton Speed Shop that do our Cup Expanding Truck Series. Those guys are absolutely phenomenal to work with. And then recently, about 6 weeks ago, we got into the dirt side with the late models and modifieds, and that's with Evan CA doing our setups there. And he's a World of Outlaws driver. He's a multi-time winner in the World of Outlaws series, 9,000 I rating. Absolutely phenomenal driver, great builder, and it's a lot of fun having him on board. And we're just launching now with Aaron Siciliano, who drove 305s, 360s, and 410s all across the Midwest. He's jumping on board now to do our winged sprint cars. So yeah, it's been a lot of growing very, very quickly. We're the fastest growing shop on the service. We're one of the premier shops on the service. And I would say definitely for the short track asphalt oval side, we're the go-to shop. And we're really strong on the NASCAR Cup Xfinity truck side. And since jumping into dirt just 6 weeks ago, we've had a lot of success and a lot of customers generated from there. A lot of people are really excited about our stuff.
So, well, I have to tell you, I'm pretty impressed. You said you started in May?
In May. We actually launched the website in September. We launched the website in June, and we launched the online store in September. And since we launched the online store, we've had almost 2,000 sales in about 110 days.
That's awesome. I'm really impressed that you rattled all that off without a teleprompter, because there's no way that Roger and I could remember all of that. We forget people in our league constantly. That was impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, it's I'm a college student as well. I'm actually studying mechanical engineering technology out at Purdue University. So when I'm not studying there and working on stuff for there, I'm running the company for the time being. For the time being, it's a full-time job, but I've still got to go and find a job and start a career and all that fun stuff. So Maconi Setup Shop it'll continue. We're not leaving or anything. We actually just incorporated as an LLC, so we are the only setup shop on the service that's actually a legitimate business recognized by the government. We've filed the paperwork. Everything is there. We're the only shop that's actually held to regulated standards and recognized as an actual business and not just a group of guys selling setups like we've been. It's Maconi Setup Shop LLC now.
Awesome. That's fabulous. Now, did I read it somewhere in the bio that you were an announcer at Stafford Speedway?
I am. I've worked 2 summers at Stafford Motor Speedway down on the pits. I started out originally working in the TV trailer, and one day they needed an announcer down on pit road, and they threw me a microphone and said, "Jeff, go have fun." And I just said, "Okay, yeah, we'll see what happens." I was expecting it to be once or twice, and then from there they had me back the next week. The fans liked having someone young and energetic and excited to be down there on pit road, and from there it's just snowballed. So I did the first full year in 2019 was my first summer there with them. And I go to school out in Indiana, but Stafford Speedway's in Connecticut. So, halfway through the season, I have to leave. So I headed back, and then I got the call in March from Paul LaRoute saying, "Hey, we're starting up an online iRacing series." And I'd been bugging him to get on iRacing for probably about a year at that point, close to it. And finally, he jumped on board and said, "Hey, we're starting it up. We don't know too much about it, but you're the iRacing guy. Make it happen." So me and Sean Ambrose from GSRC, and I've got one of their shirts on Global Sim Racing Channel, put the whole thing together and made it happen. I got to announce that and for a time be the voice of Stafford Motor Speedway, which was really cool. And then I was back there last summer once we were able to return to the track, and it's been a great time.
That's an awesome story. It reminds me, Greg Calnan, one of the announcers at Ashwekan Speedway, same sort of thing. He went with his dad to a race, and he knew all the guys. It was a tour coming in, and the announcer was fumbling with names, and he just went in and he says, "I'm the announcer from that division," and he wasn't. And
he just said it.
He's been going ever since.
Fake it till you make it.
It's amazing how that stuff works. So that's a great story. So we're glad to have you on board, and we're looking forward to what you can offer the guys in our league, and pretty excited about that. So I'm assuming safely that you'll be doing 358s and big block setups. So
we will.
Everybody's virgin here, so we're all looking for that extra speed, and it's a very competitive league. I don't know if you've seen any of the broadcasts yet, but we've got some of the best racers on the platform, and everybody's always looking for that tenth of a second. So now they know where they can find it.
Absolutely, yeah. Evan's he agreed to doing them probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I just said, yeah, he's our guy. Evan is phenomenal with the modifieds and the late models. I don't know how he does it. I've been an asphalt oval racer. I sort of my iRacing claim to fame is in the tour modifieds. I am really really good at the tour modifieds. I have the most wins in one season. I've had the most overall wins. I was the first driver to hit 100 wins in that series, and I was really good at them. And I still am really good at them. At least I hope. And someone said, "Hey, you should get into dirt." I've never been competitive on dirt. It's just not in my area of expertise. And it was Trevor Edwards that sort of brought me and Evan together. And I actually hadn't heard of him, to be 100% honest. I had not heard of him. I knew nothing about the dirt side. And Trevor just said, "Listen, trust me on it. It's the best decision you can make." I said, "Okay." And I put it in Evan's hands. I said, just send me the setups and I'll put them on the website. And it's your show to run here. And it's been a lot of fun ever since.
That's awesome. So how long have you been in iRacing?
I've been on iRacing for 2.5 years. I started up in June 2018.
Okay, yeah, I started about March 18, so yeah, that's about the same.
So was
Very
that
cool.
They've fairly recently, and I say fairly recently, it's all kind of relative at this point, but they fairly recently released the update to the SK and Tour modifieds. Were you getting started before that update, or was it just after?
That was just before the modifieds got updated the first time, and then they actually just got updated once again earlier today, as of recording earlier today on the 9th. So the big 21S1 patch included updates to the modified. So now everything is out the window again. So I came in on the new modifieds and found my success there, and now that's over. It's gone now. So it's a whole new era. I don't know who's gonna come in and be the new king of the tour mods and the SK mods, but it's exciting stuff. A lot of the larger names in that series are sort of taking a break. I'm taking a step back. I know James Curl is taking a step back. A lot of the larger names that have been really competitive the past couple years are taking a step back now and just sort of letting the series find someone new up at the top. We'll still be building setups and I'll still be running in them, but I'm not going to go and do 4 races a day and wait for the top split and all that. It's just I'm out here to have fun now. I've made my I've staked my claim.
Yeah, I started in the so I was around long before dirt. I'm approaching 10 years on the platform now, which is pretty close to how old iRacing is, I believe. But that was my thing after I graduated from street stocks, and there weren't that many tracks. I started running the SK mods, and so I ran SK modifieds for a long time. I think I finished 3rd in a division one time, and that was like my big accomplishment for a long time until I started league racing. And so yeah, I'm familiar with them, but I think what you were saying about not being competitive on dirt and stuff, they're very unique communities. For one, I think it's all iRacing, but you see the guys that run dirt all the time, they do their own thing, and then you got the guys that run asphalt, and there's a little bit of a separation there, and I think it really is based on seat time, right? So you spend a ton of time running dirt, and then you go try to drive asphalt, and you want to hang the rear end out on that. It just kind of feels natural, and it doesn't work. And right. There's a definite, and that, props to iRacing for capturing that, because it really is very different in real life as well. But I think that's a big part of it.
Absolutely, yeah.
So how much longer you got to go at school?
I'm graduating in May, so I just yesterday finished up my final project for the year. Earlier today, my group submitted the last of our, basically it was a research paper that we did, and so I've got one more semester, and that's it. And that blows my mind, but yeah, I'm going to spend most of next semester a lot less time racing than I did this semester, and next semester it's going to be a lot of job hunting and going for interviews and looking for a house and all that fun stuff, as well as balancing schoolwork. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Exciting times, man, especially with this whole side business going and everything else. So you're where are you in Indiana when you're there?
So I live just off campus in West Lafayette, Indiana. So we're about an hour north of Indianapolis, and it's right in the middle of the cornfields. It's a 40,000 person community in the middle of a bunch of cornfields. It's an amazing place. And I say off campus, I can see where most of my classes are just looking out my window. But then again, most of my classes are at my desk in my living room. So who knows?
So just without looking at a map, how far is that from Fort Wayne? I'm just thinking Shorty is
Yeah.
John Short, our VP of in the league, is just down the road from you a piece.
It's about 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
Okay, the other side of the state.
Yeah. So that's up in the northeast corner, Fort Wayne, and I'm sort of central west part of Indiana, and then Indianapolis is sort of south, kind of southwest, but south central Indiana.
That's cool. We got quite a few drivers, I think, out from that way. So it's
Well, that's typical sprint car racing country,
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
right.
For sure.
Tennessee to Indiana is huge for those sprint cars.
So I guess not to put you on the spot, and you answer this however you want to, but I want to just ask, and because I will be the first to admit I got ripped off on some setups from another setup shop, and I'm not going to name names because that's not what we're here for. But
I've got some ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I think, quite frankly, when I say that, I think most people know exactly what setup shop I'm talking about. Because you go and look at them, and I couldn't drive it on a tacky track, for one, which is unbelievable, because you can drive the standard sets on a tacky track. But you could go in and look, and they just took the baseline, changed a couple things, and then sold it, right? So can you tell me a little bit about the process that you guys go through in building a setup? How you like... Are you putting down 1,000 laps? I know that's a ton. I'm not saying you should, but how does that work? How do you go about building a setup for yourself, even?
So that's a really good question, and we get that a lot, and it's great to always clear that up with people, because a lot of people say the main complaint is people say you're just doing the iRacing baseline with a few tweaks. You're watering down. People suspect that anyone selling setups is watering them down.
Yeah.
And people say it's outdated information. Those are the three main suspicions, the three main reasons that people don't buy setups at all. And when I first started up, nobody was really selling setups. We were really the first ones to get in and start selling them. And it's, not a subscription. You just purchase setups, whichever you want. And there were other people that had tried it, and it had like closed down, and then they started back up and things like that. Yeah. But we were the first ones to get out there and really start hitting the ground running. And what we do when I first started out, it was I would sit down on Friday afternoon and I would just crank out the setups, and I would just get it done and I would send them out. And what we do now is each builder focuses on 1 to 2 setups, sometimes 3, depending on what they want to do. And depending on their skill set. So Overton Speed Shop, they do our Cup, Xfinity, and Truck Series. They've got a team of 10 people that all just go out and they turn laps like crazy, because that's what you need for the Cup Series. You have to see how the car responds in the draft. You need 10 cars out there all driving around each other. So that's what you need. Now for the dirt side, like Evan, he's already got all those setups. He built for pretty much everything, and he came to me and what he said was, listen, these setups that I've got them for pretty much every track, and as long as iRacing doesn't change anything, I'm just going to jump in, make sure they still work for the official series, and then send them back out. He's sort of got that reputation of, we know his stuff is good because he's won multiple races as a pro. He's a pro driver, right? You know, and so he's done all that. So we know already going in that those setups are good. We're just making sure, okay, they don't fail tech. Okay, they've got enough fuel. Okay, they're still, responding well to the track. Things like that. Now, Aaron, on the other hand, doing like the sprint cars, he has to go out and, we're going to set up sessions. So he's going to jump in and right at the beginning where the track is fresh, just start turning laps and build for there. And he's really good at the qualifying and heat setups, and he can do that no problem. The feature sets are a little bit more difficult. That's where we have to make it a public session, or we get like 10 of our people and just go in and turn laps, get the track all turned up, and then we build from there. Now, for stuff like the SK mods, Tour mods, for pretty much for the SK and Tour mods, we already know, Trevor and I already know how the car is going to respond. If it's going to be good for 3 laps, it's going to be really good for 90. And that's on the old tire model. So pretty much if we could go out and let's say we're consistently running 23-second, whatever track it is, 23-second laps, and then for the first 5 laps, it's 23.0, 23.0, 23.0, 23.0, 23.1. Great. We're all set. We know it's going to last that whole time. We know how much fuel it needs. So we can put that together, make sure it's good on the short run, because those cars carry over to the long run. We can't do that on the super late model. Now we have to go in and we have to turn 100 laps and make sure that thing lasts on the long run. So it all depends on the car. And, for like the Legend Series on the asphalt oval side, those races are 30 to 40 laps. We need something that's just quick. If it eats up the right side tires, that's fine because the races are so short. So we can go out and make a 30-lap run, no sweat off our backs, and we can do that 4 times and have a really solid setup together. So these guys just focus on 1 or 2, sometimes 3 different cars, and they go out and build them. And for the people saying, we don't sell what we run, we build something and then we water it down and we're all out here running for points. I understand that. I understand people say that. And when we go out in a session, let's say we're in a session of 20 people and we've got 5 customers in it. So if I'm there and it's a tour mod session, I'm probably going to go out and be top of the board. I'm going to be running the setup that we're selling. It's just I've turned 50,000 laps in these cars.
Right.
I know what I'm doing.
Yep.
I've had the seat time for it, and that's fine. But late models, I'm not as good. I've been beaten by my customers in a late model. So I can't speak for other shops. I can look into the camera and I can say all of our setups, ours, are built from scratch. We build from the ground up. We are the first shop to have setups out every single week. We get the setups out before anyone else. We build them from the ground up. We're building. We're an incorporated business now. We're building from the ground up. I cannot make any guarantees for any other shops. I'm not going to name names, but we are very, very public about who our builders are. You can ask us questions. You can join our Discord. You can constantly get in contact with us if you have any questions whatsoever. So work with the people working for you.
I think one thing that makes a distinction is exactly what you're saying about being public about who's building your setups, and part of that is you have a big team building setups, and they have specialized knowledge in certain cars. And I think what you see from a lot of other shops is trying to, well, I don't want to say a lot, the ones that I'm familiar with, which is not a whole bunch, they try to build setups for all of the cars with a couple of guys, right? And so they don't have the seat time like you're saying, and it doesn't, you can't go run a sprint car, build a setup, and then 5 minutes later get in a cup car and build a setup. So it seems like you guys have the right model, and I think it's shows in what how quickly you've grown. We were kind of laughing about before, I guess a couple of days ago when we were setting this up, about how I'm seeing your stuff everywhere now. And you know what? It's not just advertising on Facebook, which you guys have done a great job at, and I think that's important too. People that invest in their own business rather than just trying to sell somebody a quick sale makes a difference too. But other leagues are involved too. I know I have a friend that helps run a league called the Replacements Racing League. It's a modified league, and I think you guys are associated with them. So you guys are actively involved in the community and not just out, trying to make a quick buck. And I appreciate that, and I think it's obvious. I appreciate the explanation you gave, but I think other guys are probably seeing that you guys are doing things a little bit differently too.
Right. It's what I tell people all the time. If you are in this, if you're doing iRacing to make money and you're looking at it just as a way to make a quick buck, you are in it for the wrong reason. I am the luckiest guy in the world that I get to play pretend race cars and I get to make some money off of it. And no one's getting rich. Nobody is drowning in cash. You can look around my bedroom. There's no Scrooge McDuck money pit that I'm going to go dive into once we're done here. I'm a college student. I'm paying off, things like that. And that's what it's about. and nobody's getting rich off of it. If you're doing this to get rich, you're in it for the wrong reasons. Most of the money that comes into the company goes right back out. We do multiple sponsored drivers. We have multiple sponsored events. A week from Thursday, on December 17th, we're partnered up with New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and we're doing a race 100% for charity. All of the money coming in is going to one of two charities. So it's us and Majors Garage. We teamed up with them. We said, hey, we want to put on an event. And what it is, you sign up for the event at www.maconisetupshop.com/event-signups. So head on over to the link. You basically
I'll put it in the comments so we don't have to try to memorize it.
Perfect. And you click the link, you sign up, and you choose a shop to run for. So you click Maconi Setup Shop, you choose to run for us, and throughout the race, points are going to be tallied. And we've got David Schildhouse in there. Anthony Alfredo is going to try and make it. Trying to think of all the other names. Sage Karam was going to try and make it. There's one name I'm forgetting, and I'm gonna be really mad at myself for forgetting. But there's some big names already signed up for it, and it's going to be a really great event. But that's money out of our pocket. Me and Michaelette running Majors, that's money out of our pocket to put this on. We're paying to host the sessions. We're paying for the broadcast. We're doing that. We're paying for all that. And basically all the money that comes in when we go out and we race, we're going to be tallying points throughout the night. Whichever shop has the most points, quote unquote, wins the event. 75% of the total purse goes to their charity. So we're racing for the Speedway Children's Charities, the New Hampshire Motor Speedway chapter of it. So if we win, 75% of the amount raised goes right to them. The other 25% goes to the other shop's charity. So Majors is running for Make-A-Wish. If they win, 75% to Make-A-Wish, 25%. Either way, everyone wins. And, we do a lot of events like that throughout the year. We do a lot of sponsorships for all different leagues, different events, different races, all sorts of stuff. And so, like I said, work with the people that are working for you. We give back as much as we possibly can to the iRacing community. We're doing, for week 13 here, free street stock setups on the asphalt side. And they're good setups. They've won a lot of races so far. And I just sort of jumped in and started making them last season and gave them away for free, and people loved it. So I said, you know what? It's absolute. And there's shops that are charging people, quite a bit of money for setups that they can use for 24 hours. And I just don't think that's right. It's setups for one day. So if the track changes over every day, does that mean I have to build 7 setups for free? Yeah, it does. Okay. That's fine. And if that's what it takes to say thank you for an amazing season, I'm more than happy to do it. And that's another way we give back to the community. But that's sort of our number one priority, is giving back to the iRacing community for everything that people do for us. People that buy our setup, support our company, get the name out there. We do as much as we possibly can to give back to them. And if you shoot me a message and you need $20 for a league race to cover the broadcasting, yeah, I'm sure we can make something happen. If you come to me asking for
you piqued Roger's interest now.
Yeah, and I mean, if you shoot a message and you're like, yeah, we need $50 a race and it's a 20 race season. Okay, hold on. That's a lot of money, but we need 1 or 2 events sponsored. Yeah, absolutely, we can make that happen.
So you picked me though when these free street stock setups. I could have really used one the other night. I set up a 150 lap enduro for the street stocks, which was absolutely. We had 49 cars out there. It was that.
Oh gosh, it was
that calamity. But yours truly did that. I just grabbed the setup. It said 100% fuel. The guys had told me they'll go 150 laps. Well, guess what? Guys were running out of gas at I think 70 laps or something. So we could have used one of your setups because it didn't. It worked out great. We had a couple of guys made it to 100. They had a guy pushing them, and it was hilarious. But anyway,
so I want to point out the separation between the two communities again, because Roger's talking about dirt street stocks, and Jeff's talking about asphalt street stocks.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about.
We're in our own worlds.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. If I could build dirt street stock setups, absolutely, I'd be doing that. But I don't know. I don't know enough about dirt setups myself. Right.
You probably know how to put enough gas in the tank.
Yeah. I would be able to figure that out. Yeah.
That's true. You'd have still been helpful.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, and it goes back to the whole like core philosophy of it. We don't play out of position. I can jump into any asphalt oval car and start tweaking on it and find a little bit more speed. I'm good at it. I've turned 100-something thousand laps on iRacing, probably 150,000 laps, including like testing and everything else, on asphalt oval cars. I'm really good at it. I know nothing about me personally. I know nothing about dirt setups. Evan and Aaron, they've got it locked down.
Yeah.
So,
that's,
they
model
are, yeah. So I don't step on their toes. If I get, let's say someone comes to me, they're like, yeah, I'm really, I'm really loose on, corner exit at the dirt track at Charlotte. If someone comes to me and they're like, I'm really loose on the exit at Martinsville, absolutely, I can handle that myself. But if I don't know it, I'm going to say, okay, give me 20 minutes. I'll shoot them a message and see what we can figure out. It's all about not playing out of position. And I'm lucky enough that I have a team around me where we can take on any scenario and, find at least some sort of common ground and make something work. No matter what happens, we've got someone that can make it work. And we're really, really lucky that we've got a team as flexible and amazing as we have at the Maconi Setup Shop.
So I'm going to put you on the spot again, and I'm sorry if I'm asking a question you don't want to answer. But based on what you just said, if I bought a setup from you and I'm having trouble or like it just doesn't suit my driving style, I can send you a message and you guys will help me adjust it, to my driving style?
No, I'm kidding. Oh, absolutely. And we get that pretty much. A good chunk of my day is I sit right here where I'm sitting right now at my desk, and I'll answer questions. We're well known for our customer service, and that's all me. I take it personally. I don't know how many companies you'll find where the owner, founder, whatever, CEO, whatever you want to call me, just don't call me late for dinner. You can call me whatever you want. Where the owner and head figure of the company, the guy with his name on the door, will sit and respond to all your questions. I get them all day, and people will say everything from how do I download a setup? All right, here's a video. This video will help you out and get you all set up. I'm exit. I'm loose on exit at Martinsville. Okay, you're going to go down a quarter of a round on the track bar. If on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 5, 5 or below. If it's over that, you're going to go down 2 rounds. Things like that. And we're always working to help people because everyone drives a car differently. So when we put a setup up for sale, you're buying something that the pros run. All of our team members here at the Maconi Setup Shop that are building setups are pro drivers. They're not the pro world class. They don't have the licenses. They didn't make the road to pro run. We all, most of us are either with jobs or in college and, don't have time to sit down and make a road to pro run. Plus it is highly competitive.
Yeah.
But I would say that we're all pro drivers, pro setup builders, and have a lot of knowledge behind us. So what we build and put out works for us, and we're selling exactly what we're running. Now, me and let's say Trevor Edwards in the mods, we love loose race cars. I drive a modified that is looser than anyone else on the service, and I will die on that hill. People that have jumped into like my setups that I used to run will say it's unbelievably loose. So what we do is we take the setups. Okay, here's what we're running. Let's tighten it up a little bit. We'll increase the size of the anti-roll bar. Maybe we'll make a gear ratio adjustment. Small things like that where we put together a strong baseline setup and then we tweak it to our own personal uses. So, and then I'm very, if you ask me, okay, what changes, Jeff, did you make? Okay, I went down 2 clicks on the anti-roll bar, and because I like a loose race car, and that's pretty much the extent of it. So, if you're buying a setup from us and you start going for the springs, okay, now you're taking a swing at it, and I hope you'll consult me before you start doing that. Most of the adjustments that we help people with, they shoot us a message. It's stuff like track bar. It's a pound in the right rear tire, the right side tires. It's a caster adjustment. Small things like that are fine, but like very rarely do we have it where someone needs to make a spring adjustment or anything crazy like that. But if you come to me and you're saying like, yeah, this is way too tight for me, this is way too loose for me, just my driving style, absolutely every day of the week you're going to get a response, unless I'm asleep, which is like 6 to 7 hours a day now, depending. Sometimes 4, sometimes 5 hours. Unless I'm asleep, you're going to get a response within 20 minutes.
That's awesome. So I got a couple of questions to put you on the spot.
Okay.
So the first one is, let's say Preston bought a setup off you, and he wants to go a little bit faster. So he contacts you. Now, if I contact you and say, I'll give you $10 to make it slower, will you do that?
Probably not. I
Okay.
couldn't intentionally nerf someone else's nerf someone else's setup or anything like that. But
we're $10 for you to throw them down.
for $10, you can get that same setup and go out drive them. You know.
So I have to assume Roger's asking this question and substituting me for the driver that he'd like to slow down, because Roger at this point is not. At this point, Roger's not even able to qualify for the same division as I am, at least for the sprint cars.
Right. Yeah.
So I assume he's talking about somebody else.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I started the league and I can't even race in my own A division. But so the other question I want to put you on the spot for. So it's been just incredible that you stepped. It's funny. Just days before we kind of made our deal, there was a post out there. There was another company saying they were looking to sponsor some races, and
it's the one I bought the setups from, and they were garbage. Yeah. Just saying.
So I got contacted by about 2 or 3 drivers. Like, hey, are you aware of this? Because we're always looking for sponsors, and I just backed. I didn't want to be associated with them. I didn't want to, we take a lot of pride in our reputation and name. And then, 2 days later, you came along, and it was awesome. And the difference is night and day. And I think people just watching this interview, but the other question I'm putting you on the spot. So our drivers, we've got 20 divisions. We got hundreds of drivers in our league. Is there a discount or a discount code that we could set up where they'll get a special deal because they're in our league and we're working with you?
Absolutely. That is not a problem at all. We do typically 10 to 15% off for a lot of, for various reasons. We've got discount codes with different streamers, with different drivers. One of our 2 most popular ones is code Ghost, which is for Mr. Ghostman over on Twitch, and code Alfredo, which is because Anthony Alfredo, driver for Richard Childress Racing in the Xfinity Series, who, fingers crossed, will get a full-time ride next year. Certainly earned it with everything that he did this year, but fingers crossed there. But we work with him a lot. Anthony is an amazing friend of mine. He's a great guy. I met him back when he was running K&N, but we do a discount code for him as well, and that's a really popular one. So absolutely, yeah. Guys, G-Force Racing League, you will get a discount code. I can put that together, no problem at all.
So don't use either of the other 2 codes he just mentioned. Just say
because we're getting a bigger discount evidently.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we're kind of probably coming to the end here, but I just want to tell you exactly what Roger just said. We had another setup shop mentioned to us and we wanted nothing to do with it. And you came along, and there seemed to be some potential there, and I didn't know a ton about you before this. I have to say at this point, and I'm not a person that's real super interested in buying setups, but this seems to be a good match. I think what you guys are doing is really impressive, and I think our league is going to be better from just having a relationship with you guys, but it's just our drivers too. I think this is a really good match for us, because we focus on a lot of the same things that you've been mentioning. For one, just quality of racing is very important. We want to go out and have a good time, but we want to be fast, right? And everybody in our league wants to be fast. But the giving back to the community, we try to do, at least 3 to 4 charity events a year. So we seem to be matching on some values here. And I just want to tell you, thank you for coming on board and being a part of what we're doing. But just reiterate how excited we are to be working with you, and I think you'll get a lot of business from our league.
Absolutely, and I'm really excited to be on board. It's always something, and it's always a big adventure jumping in, and a lot of it behind the scenes is I'm Jeff Maconi, right, and that's my name up on the door, so I've got to be very careful with who I associate and partner with and everything like that, because it's building a business in an online community, and it's uncharted territory. iRacing Setup Shops. There's some people that love us. There's some people that really hate us, and I genuinely speaking, I do see both sides. So, it's very important to me as well who I partner with. So I'm really excited to be on board as well. It's going to be a lot of fun this season.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head about the whole customer service thing, and that I think when drivers get a hold of the setups and realize that there's somebody behind there that's going to support you. It's not just here, pay your money and thanks a lot, have a good life. That customer service, you can't say enough about customer service. It's the key. Mm-hmm. So just really impressed with everything you guys are doing, and and we're looking at this as a partnership for long term. So it's great to have you on board, and we're really excited about the future with you.
I'm very excited as well, and it's like you said, customer service is everything, and it's about building that relationship, that one-on-one interaction. I will. This is probably like it is the biggest thing to me, is building this relationship with customers. There's hundreds of people. We've like I said, we've done nearly 2,000 sales in the past 110 days, and I've probably had a conversation with, I would say, at least 60 to 80% of those customers. If you reach out to me, you're going to get a response back, and that's sort of that's really important to me, is building that personal relationship. If you go and look at our Facebook page, I could easily post all day, every day. Oh, this customer won, this driver won. Yep. Look at win. That's not what it's about. iRacing and racing in general, it's more than just winning. If I wanted to post nothing but wins, I could sit and have a new post out every time a race ends, a different split, somebody's won. But that's not what it's about. You won't find that on our page at all. And it's because the wins aren't what's important. It's more about building that relationship, being the best driver that you can be. If you are a 20th place driver and you go out and finish 5th on one of my setups, that's just as much of a victory as if you're a 5th place driver and go out and win. It's about, and that's why we always say our setups, your victories. We work for you. It's not about us. We are here to help the community. It's about the customers 110%. We're here to support you. It's a team. It's a family. We are here for the customers. I'm an employee to anyone that buys a setup from us, and I'm an employee to everyone on the service. If you need help with anything, ask away.
That's awesome. And as I said, I can't say enough about how excited we are to have you involved with the league, and want to thank you for coming on the podcast with us and sharing that, because I'm sure a lot of people are going to enjoy this episode for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And so I'm interested personally. So you'll have to go ahead and what is the URL if I want to go buy a setup again?
So if you want to grab a setup, we are at www.MaconiSetupShop.com.
Easy.
And that link, it's that easy. It'll take you right to our shop page. You can organize it, everything on the left side. It'll say like multi-car collections, single car collections, and then break it down into all the different ones, all the different cars and everything. You can click up at the top. It'll say like asphalt setups, dirt setup. You hover over the asphalt setups. It brings a drop-down list. I sat and I spent, I don't even know how many hours building that website on Wix, but it's designed to be as easy and painless as possible. It takes PayPal, it takes credit cards, it takes pretty much any way that you can get, money from one place to another. It'll probably work on the website. So it's easy, it's painless, it's simple. It's what it's all about.
Well, thanks a lot, buddy. We really appreciate having you on, and I think we're going to probably say it 100 times, but we're really excited to have you on board. Maybe we get you on a broadcast at some point as well, where you can introduce yourself live and on stage, I suppose.
Hey, we got to get him to call a race one night. He's an announcer for Pete's sake.
I was gonna say I've worked with GSRC, I've worked with Podium, Full Velocity Racing Network, OSR Network. I've worked with all of them. So I can jump in.
Yeah, we'll get you in as a guest announcer. That'll be a lot of fun.
We'll get you in with Joe, because I know as soon as you came on board, Joe White is one of our announcers, and he had nothing nothing but good stuff to say about you. So we'll have to get you in the booth with him one night. That should be good for a laugh.
I love calling races with Joe. He and I
Oh, yeah.
called the Kick-Ass Beef Jerky Truck Series for close to a year. He is a great guy.
He is a great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're lucky to have him for sure. And yeah, so we'll get you out one night for sure. That's got to be a guarantee thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks again for coming on, and just we'll be talking about you through the season for sure, and we'll get you out to the race. We'll have a chat with you then too.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you guys for everything. I'm really excited for this upcoming season.
Okay,
And many more to follow.
Good luck with your the last few months of Purdue, and good luck in the future on that as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's big time. Gonna move out, buy a house, and start a career. That's the plan.
And have a rig in the basement, of course.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the first thing going in.
Okay,
Thanks.
one last question because we always ask it. Tell us about your rig. What do you have? Is it triples, VR?
I run the poor man's economy rig. So I have a Playseat Evolution, and I got that for free off of someone. It was in their garage, and yep, that's exactly it. It's an older one though. It's probably about 10 years old. Actually, a guy named Jimmy Simpson raced Indy Lights for a couple years, Formula Atlantic, USF 2000. He was a racer there, and a really good friend of mine. And it was sitting in his garage one day, and he said, "You know what? If you can fit in your car and take it home, it's yours." So I'm cramming it in the back of my little Chevy Impala, getting that thing to fit in there. This was back when I had a roommate in my apartment, and I come back in. I've got the seat. I've got half the rig, and he goes, "What's that, Jeff?" I go, "Oh, it's my new rig. I got it." He goes, "Where's that gonna go, Jeff?" "Oh, right at my desk." And so I've got that Playseat rig. I actually had a Thrustmaster TMX. I did my first 2,000 some odd races on the Thrustmaster TMX and T3PA Pro pedals, and then finally the force feedback started giving out on me, and it broke my heart that I had to get rid of it. But I upgraded to a Club Sport 2.5 with a NASCAR rim, and I'm absolutely loving it. That's probably it is the most expensive part of my rig is that wheel and wheelbase, and then I run an Oculus Rift CV1, the old Oculus Rift, the first one. I love it to death, absolutely adore it. But I've also got old go-kart seatbelts on my rig, and my rig is back in my apartment. I'm currently in Florida for a couple weeks, but once I go back to my apartment out in Indiana, it's got like the go-kart belts on it and everything else. It's a lot of fun, and I recently built a computer in April of this year, and it's a Ryzen 5 3600X. It's a 2060 processor, X370 motherboard, and 16 gigs of RAM in it, and I need to upgrade that. So
I'm just gonna break it to you, and I'm so glad you said that. So we're 14 episodes in on our podcast, which doesn't sound like a lot, but we've had guests every week, sometimes multiple, and you were the first person in our league or associated with our league that built their own computer other than myself. So it's so nice to finally have another nerd, I guess, on the podcast that built their own computer, because I built a couple of them now, and nobody, it's like nobody cares to do that anymore, and it makes me sad.
It's scary. It's scary. I was so worried when I was putting that thing together.
It's so much fun though.
It's fun when you put it together,
and it works.
But, and it works. That's the thing. So, turns out my processor needed in a BIOS update to work with the motherboard. Now, I did not know that. So I needed a 2600 processor in order to make it work. I did not have a 2600 processor, and I wasn't going to buy one for $300 to do a BIOS update and then sell it again. So I had to go all around looking for a computer shop that had a 2600 that knew what the hell they were doing, and I finally found a guy working out of pretty much like a storage locker. He had set up an office in there, but he knew his computers, and he's like, "Yeah, I know exactly the problem you've got. I've had 3 other customers with it. Bring it in. I can have it done in 30 minutes." And 30 minutes later, it was done. So
So we need to let you go, but I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you a story about the first time I built my computer. Built the whole thing. Took me a while because it's the first time I'd ever done it. And got it all together and went to turn it on and it wouldn't post. It just give me a beep and nothing would happen.
Oh,
And I worked on it for like 12 hours a day. I was in college at the time, but it was like I was on break for 3 days. Couldn't figure out what was going on. I'm like changing parts out, re-putting everything in, and I didn't realize that there was a second power cable for my motherboard, and it wasn't plugged in. So
And
That one hurts.
that's why everybody else buys them.
yeah, that's why everyone buys computers and doesn't build them themselves.
So now that we've made this glowing endorsement for building computers, we'll let Jeff go. We appreciate having you, buddy. You know what? You're welcome back anytime. I don't think we've gone 45 minutes with any other guest. You're extremely entertaining, and it's very impressive what you've done in just a few short months. And I think the future is very bright for your company, and hopefully we'll be a big part of that.
Absolutely, and I really do appreciate it. It's a lot of fun, and not everyone realizes all the work that goes in behind the scenes. But if I'm going to go through the time and the money to incorporate the company and make sure everything is 100% legal, 100% legit, and we're putting out the best of the best, you can bet that there's a whole lot of heart and soul and love that goes into it. And there's a reason. And I guess this is sort of the last point. Go and look at the other places. No matter where else you go, it's different, slogans or names or whatever. If someone is willing to put their name on it, their reputation and everything else, that they are caring about it and giving you the best of the best. I called it the Maconi Setup Shop because I want when I jump into a lobby and people say the name Jeff Maconi, I want them to associate that with Maconi Setup Shop. That's what it's all about. So I'm putting out the best that I possibly can and giving my customers top-notch stuff, and I'm always right here and available. If you shoot me a message, you're going to get a response back, and it's a whole lot of heart and soul that goes into everything for everyone. We've had hundreds of customers across the service, and we are just beyond. Like I said, I'm the luckiest guy in the world that I get to play pretend race cars and be a part of this community.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Thanks again, buddy, and we'll be talking again soon.
Appreciate it.
And we're back, and I hope you'll agree with me that it's very impressive what Jeff Maconi and his team are doing, and it's only fair to say, we were approached, and maybe I mentioned that I guess in the interview, but by another company, and like we do our due diligence too. So when Jeff Maconi reached out, he did his due diligence on our league, and I guess he was impressed with what he saw. But at the same token, we did our research into what he was all about, and it was kind of like, yeah, this is a quality guy, quality product, somebody we want to be associated with going down the pike here. So. And that discount is GFRL, uppercase, GFRL, or GeForce, capital G, capital F, ORCE. So either one of those codes will work if you're looking for setups. Send that code, you get a 15% discount. So looking forward to this relationship. It should be good.
Yeah, and so you mentioned, I think in the previous where we were talking about working with iRacing companies, and it is a little bit different, I think, because with the wrap companies, it's me obviously running Epsilon Sprint wraps, and then I think it's Ross Corinta might be the contact we have with Velocity, and I know they have a handful of guys working over there. Yeah. These were guys that were involved in our league, right? And that's how it came about. Yep. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn. They've been good relationships, right, with Velocity, and I try to do my part as well. But we're now starting to draw outside attention from people that do iRacing. And Roger and I, back before we had a full executive committee, and he and I were running the league by basically having a podcast a couple of once a week or so without recording it, because we would get on and just talk and kind of talk things through. That's what we always said was the best sponsors that we could get, and I don't want to short anybody, but the most logical sponsors, not the best sponsors. That's the way to put it. It's the most logical sponsors we could have that we could benefit the most directly are people that are also associated with iRacing. And I think thanks to our other sponsors that have helped us to get where we are, and we still want to have relationships with them, we're starting to make a footprint in the iRacing community. And I think with the Big Block series we have coming up and the number of people we have signed up already, it's just going to get bigger. And I think we're on the right track. And the fact that we're now starting to attract sponsors, and you mentioned before that we've been we got contacted about from other setup shops. Yep. We're starting to attract people because of our customer base, because of our drivers, and some of that is the quality of our drivers as well. Setup shops want to sell drivers that are fast, their setups, because it makes their setups look good too. It's not necessarily that our drivers have the best setups, which we know a lot of them do, but guys that have seat time make setups look good because that makes a difference. And Jeff kind of alluded to that in the previous interview. So it's not just what we're doing as an admin team and from the league, but it's the quality of racing, right? I mean, we're drawing good viewership. We're drawing good drivers, and so things just seem to be going the right way as to making an imprint, I guess, in the community that way. And I think we're as much as it kind of sounds crazy to say, I think we're just on the cusp of what we're going to be capable of doing.
Yeah, it's certainly encouraging. We're definitely going in the right direction continually, and it this season, really excited about. This is a breakout season, I think, for us. The Big Block Modified said that they came in today, and the 358s, and I have to admit, I'm a sprint car guy, and they would come up to us weekend, and they're okay, but I wasn't like really hung up on them. I'm telling you, that car is one of the most fun cars to drive. I've fallen in love with it, and that will extend now to the track. When I go back to the track, I'll have a new appreciation for these cars. But we've had, and the response. So we haven't really pushed it hardly, and we're already up to 120 people signed up for it. So we've got. I think you had said it before. We've got the template. We've got the Monday night. What we've done. We've got a year and a half under our belt of how we run the league. And we've got the drivers for sure. We got some of the best drivers around. And so we can apply all of that to this new division. So the only thing new is the car. Everything around it is all been time tested. So it's a great formula. But there's people. Just tonight we had to turn people away. I had it set at 45, which is usually our kind of sweet spot. People couldn't get in. So tomorrow night we'll up it to 60. The downside of that is only 24 make the feature. So you get a lot of, I don't like it where a lot of people, walk away, like frustrated or they didn't make it. And, but this is all, there will be 3 divisions in the season next week. These are really just kind of almost like recruiting races. We're just, seeing where people will fit in the different divisions. But the response has been phenomenal. And the racing tonight, Preston, it was, I know you had an unfortunate incident. Well, I did too. But the racing was phenomenal. Like I was watching, especially in VR, I was watching some of those pitside views. And those, man, you'd swear you're at the track. It's just absolutely incredible. Incredible.
The cars are a ton of fun. And I'll give iRacing credit for that. And I think you'll hear a lot of people say that the first season when they release a car that they make the car a little bit easier to drive. And maybe that's true. But I'm all about the big blocks, right? I want to drive the fastest car out there. But I tell you what, that 358 race we ran was about the most fun race I've run in a long time.
Yeah.
You know what? Everybody had pretty good control of the car for the most part.
Yeah.
And guys were fast. It's a lot like the 305 sprint cars, right? It's a little tricky to pass when the track's tacky and there's no slick anywhere. But once that track started slicking off, we had a blast. I got sent to the back, and usually I'd be pretty pissed. Maybe we're not running for points, so that makes a little bit of a difference. But then it was just, I was running with guys I might be able to pass, right?
Yeah.
And it was a load of fun. And the cars are a lot of fun. I think they're super stable. I think Terry was mentioning to us when we were in the Discord that, and you mentioned it too, how they kind of bounce through the corners, which is very realistic.
Yep.
And you don't lose a ton of speed, you lose a little bit, but you can kind of bounce it through the corner, and you get a little wheel hop, and it was a lot of fun, and I was pretty impressed. I didn't think I was gonna enjoy them as much as I did. So it was a lot of fun. I liked it quite a bit.
We had the matinee session or the afternoon. Usually we draw like a dozen guys, but it's a good bunch of guys who have a great time. It was 17 guys today, right? And it was all like last minute stuff. 17 guys for this the 358s, and Mike Schultz was in the room, and Mike has driven Sportsman, and he said they got it, like the car motion, everything. Like he said, even the damage. Like he said, it's all. They got it all figured out, so it's exciting. It really is. Like, never seen the division like this just come on. Like I remember when the dirt came on, it was huge. But the fact that we're kind of positioned to support this thing, and the drivers to support it, because the drivers, like, I think like you said, they drive a lot like 360s, 305s. So it is different, but not that much different. That guys, they know the throttle control and stuff, and so it's making for great racing right out of the box. It's just fantastic.
Yeah. So and I will tell you also one thing that I thoroughly enjoyed outside of the dirt stuff. I also bought the new Dollar car, the 01, which is now somebody will have to correct me if I'm wrong.
I could call that the Delara.
Delara. That's actually the way you pronounce it. I pronounce it incorrectly pretty frequently. But you're right.
You got the Virginian version.
I guess it's the wrong way to say it, and you just corrected me. But so I got out and tried to run that, and it's a lot of fun too. It runs. It's one of the first cars that I've run that I felt like it was almost on the edge, kind of fast, and I never really felt like that. Like, I mean, we run skip arbors all the time, so maybe that's the problem, and because those things are a little bit sluggish. But I'm gonna tell a little secret here because I think it's funny. And Penny Lee does not watch these podcasts, so she's getting kind of punished. I asked her actually last week. I was like, she was asking me, we were getting ready to record, and she was like, well, what are you doing? I said, I'm getting ready to record the podcast. And I was telling her I think Terry was going to be on it or somebody. And I was like, well, don't you watch it? And she was like, no, I've never seen it before. I'm thinking, how is that possible? But anyway. So
yeah, that's terrible.
She on Black Friday, she bought me a Christmas present. So she bought me this fancy Fanatec Formula V2 wheel, and I convinced her to let me try it.
Make sure it works. You got to make sure it works.
To make sure it works, I can't get it back on now, so hopefully I didn't break it. But so I told her, I was like, I got to make sure it works because it's going to be about 30 days before. If something doesn't work, before I can send it back, right? That sounds logical. Yeah. So if anybody ever needs that trick, use Black Friday, get your gift, and then say, I need to try it, right? So anyway, Penny Lee doesn't follow a lot of, she doesn't care what I'm doing in here. She knows I'm racing, and that's about it. So I used it, and I put it back in the box, and I said, okay, well, because she was going to wrap it back up for Christmas. That was the deal. I got it for the one night. Dad came over and gave it a try. And then I was supposed to give it back so she could wrap it and put it under the tree. So she did. I put it back in the box, boxed it up real nice, so it'd still be fun when I opened it again, I guess. I don't know. And so Sunday rolls around, and the Skip Barber race comes around, and it's at Belle Isle. It's for my dad who accidentally bought some Canadian, wherever they run the Canadian Grand Prix, Jacques Villeneuve circuit, and he practiced there. It's the Detroit Grand Prix at Belle Isle, if you need help with that. So that was a big running joke, too. Anyway, so I knew the wheel was still sitting in the kitchen unwrapped. So what I did was I took the wheel out. I found a coat that I had. It's pretty, not real thick or anything. roughly the same weight as the wheel. And I removed the wheel from the box, put the coat in, sealed it up back the way it was, and it still hasn't been wrapped yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to get away with it. And as you can see, I got to go test drive the new Delara 01 car with my new wheel. No idea.
You're playing with their you're on the edge, buddy.
Well, I think part of me probably wants to get caught because I feel bad about it. But
You're gonna get caught. Like when you open that box and there's a code in there. What the hell are you gonna do?
Well, I think at that point it's just a funny story, right? I mean,
Like you won't.
maybe. I don't know. We'll see. If you guys don't hear from me after Christmas, then maybe you'll know what happened to me. Anyway, sorry for the rabbit trail, but I had to tell that story because I think it's pretty funny.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Anyways, so lots of Cedar Lake, other than no lights, but hey, we had a race there tonight. There was towers, there was light towers there.
Yes.
I don't know what they're talking about.
So my understanding is it's not that they don't that the track doesn't physically have lights. It's that they were not able to program the lighting in prior to releasing.
So Scotty's right. They just didn't pay the bill.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty accurate. So somebody was suggesting, I think it was somebody from maybe Barker from the executive committee was suggesting that we should run a race there in the dark with headlights on. But I'm wondering if you ran a car that had headlights there, which I think the only dirt car that might have that would be the VW. But I don't know that the headlights would work either because I don't know
if they're programmed for the track.
Yeah, they might not be programmed in either. So I'm not sure. But somebody can test it and find out for us.
Yeah, for sure. So anyways, so lots of... I bought that the Delara, but I don't know when. I just bought it because it was so stinking neat. And, I know you were talking about you and Hein and a bunch of guys were talking about running them. So I thought, okay, maybe I make one purchase, get the big discount for the multiple purchase, and do it. So I did that. I also bought we bought the Vet, the C8 because endurance race might use it. But I had to buy the is it C7 or C6? It was $298. Like you gotta buy it. Like holy smokes, $295 or whatever. It was a Price is Right.
Yeah, that's one of the things that iRacing's changed, where they're not doing legacy content anymore. Which I mean, I get that. They put money into designing these cars.
Yep.
So I mean, that's okay. What's $295 here and there is not too big a deal anyway. So it's pretty cool. I own that car myself. I don't know that I've driven it a whole lot, but I think we're at the point now where we have to decide, because we're going to start prepping for the 24 Hours of Daytona, whether we drive the CR8 or the CR.8 or whatever it is, or the Delara P217, which I've been test driving that a little bit, but don't like it as much as the Corvette.
I bought the Silverado, the Gander pickup truck, because we're running a NASCAR series on Friday afternoons now. There's been 10 or 12 guys. I think on a Friday afternoon we might get like 20 guys in it. So it's all friends. So you're not, you don't get that massive explosion like when you run officials with when you get messes. But anyways, we're going to be running those tomorrow night, so it'll be done by the time of the podcast. Silverado at Knoxville for on dirt.
Lord.
So but Brandon Schultz has provided the setup. So he said it's still pretty slippery because it's it's the wrong tires, but there's it should be pretty interesting to run anyway. So that's and we got the two the big block and the 358s tomorrow night. And I've upped it to 60 because for sure they're going to be waiting at the door to get into those rooms.
Now,
but I wanted to talk.
I know both races. I know I should have looked at the schedule too. But are both races big blocks, or is one a 358 and one a big
First
block?
ones, and they're all fixed this week. So next week there'll be some open ones, but it's a fixed 358 and a fixed big block. That was tonight and tomorrow night. That'll help us evaluate these 120 guys that have signed up and try to figure out where to place them next week for their division. And then we'll have 3 divisions. So it'll be like a fixed 358, an open 358, and the open big block. So competition should get even. Like, it should be wild. It's just, I can't wait. But we've had some fun times this week. We ran a street. I was referred to that in the interview. We ran a street stock enduro 150, except I had 100% fuel in it, but evidently it wasn't 100% fuel. I don't know how that works out, but obviously I don't know setups. So we were going to run a 150, but guys are running out of fuel at 65 laps or something like that. In fact, you know what? We had it ended up it almost it was a 150 in a way, because we had the idea was there'd be 50 laps in the consi, which everybody would be in, and then 50 laps in the feature, everybody. We've done one of those before in one of the charity races. The difference was that we had already figured out who the 24 were, so there's only 24 in the room. In this case, there was there's probably 30, high 30s or something. So a bunch of us so they split the B main into two. So that meant they're both 50 laps.
Oh, yikes.
So I'm in the first one. I think there was 19 cars. I was quite proud of myself. I started at the back. Yeah, that was so kudos to Shorty. Shorty built a setup. I got taken out in the first turn or second turn. I got taken out, turned around. I'm a half lap down. I was running P5 before I ran out of fuel with about 5 to go. That's not me. You know, that Shorty setup was like, I was catching guys I'm usually not even on the track with. I mean, it was just like, I'm running the lip. Like, it was just like spectacular for me.
You were at Knoxville, is that right?
Yeah, Knoxville. Yeah. So anyways, I didn't make it, but it ended up, so what we did, we said it's going to be in stages. So when we knew the fuel wouldn't make it. So Steve Spies won at 50 laps. He was the leader. And then Mike Schultz and there's Mike Schultz. He had a guy pushing him. Beagle had a guy pushing him. And Aiden Young had Redding pushing him. And Aiden Young was a lap down, but was catchy because Mike was trying to conserve fuel. Anyways, Mike made it to 100 laps. And Aiden actually ran out of fuel like on lap 99. But it was just wacky. But it was so cool, you know, and it was, damage was off and all that stuff. But we're actually thinking about running a couple on Friday nights. They're great stress relievers. I mean, you just laugh. My wife, I came upstairs, she said, I haven't heard you laugh that loud in a long time, you know. So it was crazy. But then the 50s for the sprint cars. So the track was slicking off. So the guy said, Barker assured me, the experienced guys, like, hey, it's slicking off. You'll get your 50 laps out of the feature. So they ran 50 laps. So there had been 250 lap B mains on that track, plus the race, all the heat race, because we did the whole heat race thing.
Yeah, I bet that was slick.
It was 50 laps, no cautions. And I think there was 20 guys on the track.
That's crazy.
50 laps, no caution. It just, that says how much the guys in our league have improved, because it wasn't all the big names out there. There was guys from the Rebels. There's guys from the Raiders that were out there, and they were all, holding their own. And there, a couple of guys, guys were getting lapped, but they're holding their line. They weren't causing a problem. It was spectacular. So, we've had a real good week this week with the fun stuff. And then, of course, the schedule, I got that posted tonight, and I already got to make a change because Joe White already contacted me because he's not available on Tuesdays after January 5th, and I had him penciled in for the whole thing. So like he was checking it. It's good for Joe, and so there's a few corrections I got to make, but 240 races, 20 races a week. It's been 6 weeks in the planning, because we got to line up with who can admin, we got to get sponsors and who sponsors what tracks and we had to wait for the the release of the schedule. What tracks are we going to run, and yada 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 yada. What we decided that with the dirt modifieds coming on, that something had to go because we were going to take up Thursday night 3 divisions. So your beloved UMPs got turfed and the PLMs got turfed, the Pro Late models. And there was an absolute uprising over the Pro Late models. Dan Blau was all over me, and Kyle Parker, and I knew guys would be upset. But like I want the 305s, the 360s, and the 410s, the fixed ones. They used to run on Tuesday nights. That was my favorite night. But like stuff's got to go. But they were like persistent, and so we said, okay, run it. Here's where you could run it. You can run it Monday afternoon, maybe Friday afternoon, Sunday night before the skippies, or Saturday night or whatever. Anyways, they finally settled on Friday night and took ownership for a lot of the running it and finding sponsorship for it. Kudos to these guys. They really stepped up their game. Mind you, it was a little tense there with some of the discussions, but it was. But kudos that they pulled that off, and so another extra division. So it's been crazy getting that schedule set up, but it was well worth it. It's just going to be a breakout season. Like I'm really like we're saturated, and part of the concern too was coordinating with the review team. How much can you review? Which ones do we review? How many do we do protest only or feature or full race? So we don't want to. We're killing those guys. Like people don't appreciate how much work those guys do. So we had to bring them into the mix to figure out what they could handle and how we do it. So anyways, that's over. Now the next one is, and this will be out by podcast time, but the list for Monday night. Who's in the, and we got a new D division. Who's going to be A, B, C, and D? So that division's healthy. Bill Calder is doing him and Gary Taylor just kick-ass job in the recruiting. We get 3 to 4 new recruits every week. So and some of them don't stick, but some of them do, and some of them are running in the A division now. Like they're really good guys that have come in. So it's just been phenomenal, and so we got to get that list, and then we got to get the elite list done before the shootout starts. So, and then the street stocks, we got to figure out who's going to be in that A division, what we'll be doing, because these are all new. The street stocks and the dirt modifieds is we will have not just a minor adjustment at week 5. We'll probably have a significant adjustment, doing a correction to get, okay, these guys need to go down. These guys are really good. They do need to be in this A division or whatever. So, and guys will have an established IL by then. We know how good they are, whatever, where they can race. So, still a lot of work to do, but the big part, getting that schedule out was a big one to get that off our back and get moving on. So it's coming, man. It's coming. It's next Monday night we'll be into the winter season, and I am just, well, I guess I'm excited.
Yeah, and you know what? Before you know it, you're going to be stressing over the spring season.
So I got 6 weeks. I got about 6 weeks or 5 weeks before I start stressing again.
It never ends, but you know what?
No,
it's not a bad problem to have, because you look back at it now. We're past the year mark and going stronger than ever, and cool stuff on the horizon.
We're coming up to the 2-year mark now. So we're an established league. Like it's just when. And I've been advertising it like that. Like we're not just somebody just showed up. We're established. We got policies and processes in place that make these things work, and all the right people in the right places. And I think we're really positioned for success for this dirt modified league. It's just going to be awesome.
Well, and I'm curious. I don't know if there's any way you can find this information out, but I would be hard pressed. I think we'd be hard pressed to find another league that over the next 12 weeks are going to run 240 races.
Yeah,
I would be really curious to know. And does that pop up on iRacing's radar? Like the amount of races a particular person's hosting or a league is running, or I don't know.
Things I lay in bed thinking about, different things, different ideas. But I thought about that the other night. I think it's time to approach iRacing for some sponsorship or support, especially for the charity events, because think about how much money we made them just by establishing our dirt modified league.
Yeah.
And everybody's buying Cedar Lake because we run that. So we're putting a lot of money in their pocket, and we need a little bit of love back, I think. So. I think it's getting time where we've got some data behind us to support the claim. So it's all good, man. I'm pumped. Yeah, I'm 5 or 6 weeks away from stressing again. So
Yeah, so enjoy it while it lasts.
yeah,
Well, you know what? I think we'll probably we had a pretty long interview there, and
yep,
so we'll probably go ahead and close out here. We appreciate everybody watching as we do every week. If there's anything you guys ever think about that you'd like to hear us address, or you know what,
yep.
if you
Or
want to,
people to interview.
yeah, if you want to come on and be the next
Yeah,
person that we interview, let us know. Because you know what, we do this for Roger and I enjoy doing this. You can probably tell because we go on for hours every week.
yeah,
But you know what, it's for the league, right? I mean, we enjoy being part of the league and getting to know other guys. So you might not be somebody that Roger and I are super familiar with, but if you want to come on and have a chat, let us know and we'll work it out.
absolutely. And I'm going to leave everybody with one. So here's the question of the week: what what does everybody think? And put them in a comment. What do you think the average age of the league is? So that's the question. I will have a post on it later in the week.
I have a
Uh,
guess.
you have a guess because you know. I'm trying to remember your guess. Somebody was pretty close, out by a year. But what is the average age of the league? And this is based on a large sample size. So I think it's pretty accurate within a year or so. So um, I was not totally surprised, but I was a little bit surprised. So, anyways, let us know what you think about that.
Yeah.
And again, if you got any ideas, thoughts, whatever, criticisms, but bring it on. And look forward to seeing you next week on episode 15.
Yep, and we'll talk to you next week. And just before we let you go, if anybody sees or talks to Joe Backus, just please
Who?
let him know that we're looking for him, and we'd like to have him on the show at some point. We're here waiting for him.
No Show Joe.
Have a good weekend, guys, and we'll
Take
see you
care.
out on the track.
Yeah. Cheers.